Hi everyone. I was asked to do my labor and delivery story. So here goes. On April 12th, 2015, actually no, April 11th, 2015, at 8:30 a.m., I went into labor that Saturday morning. And the contractions weren't strong or close enough to go to the hospital, so I waited it out until about 11:30, and they were very close together and they were lasting long times, so I loaded up and went to the hospital, which is about 45 minutes away, and there's always traffic on this road, always. There's no back way. Got there about 11:30, and they were like, yes, you're definitely in labor, but you're only at a 1 and we can't give you a room until you're at a 2. So we're going to monitor you for an hour, then we'll have to come and check your cervix again. And if you're at a 2, we'll give you a room, and if not, we'll send you home. So by this point, my husband and I are just like, well, I really hope I'm at a 2. Well, an hour later, it wasn't. It was still at a 1. So she said, we're just going to send you home, and then we'll, come back when you think you're ready. And I just started bawling. And my husband explained to her, well, we don't live close, and explained to her how far away we lived. She's like, well, let me check you again. So she sticks 2 fingers in my cervix and pulls them apart. She's like, well, you're at a 2.5 now. I'll go get the room ready. Not fun. And then they get me into the room and everything's fine, and then I'm dilating very, very slowly. At about 8 or 9, she comes in and she goes, well, 2 hours ago you were at a 6 and now you're at a 4 and your cervix is swollen. And I was very scared. And she was like, well, we're going to get precautions set up to give you a C-section. Which, was fine. By this point, I was already miserable. But he was already in the birth canal. And with the cervix being swollen, I was scared. I thought there was something wrong with me, and it was going to hurt him. But they were like, well, let's give you some oxytocin first. And after we give you some oxytocin, we'll see how if it loosens your cervix back up and it, causes the swelling to go down. Well, I start running a really, really, really high fever right before they give me the oxytocin. So they rush to give me the oxytocin, and the nurse is like, just take a nap, just give it time to set in and soak in, and then we'll check you when you wake up. Well, at 4 a.m, I woke up and I was like, I'm ready. I have to push. And because they always tell you, it feels like you have to poop, which is weird. I didn't believe it, and I was always like, no, you don't have to poop. That's weird, because it doesn't come out of that hole. Well, it feels like you have to poop. And, so I told the nurse, I was like, I feel like I have to poop. I know I have to push. She's coming. So she's like, definitely, you're ready. But it was 4 a.m. So we had to wait for the on-call doctor to leave her house and come back to the hospital. So they had to call her, wake her up, and have her come to the hospital. So we were doing a couple practice pushings, and I just wanted him out. And he was pushing up in my ribs. When I would have a contraction, his butt would push against my ribs, so it was miserable. I had 3 epidurals. Yeah, I had 3. And each one wore off. I had the first one when I got there. At 1:30, I think, was when I had it. And it wore off 2-3 hours later. And I had another one. And that one wore off within 30 minutes. That one, I don't know if he just didn't hit the right spot, but it didn't make me go numb. It just kind of dulled the contractions a little bit. And the last one was the one that made my entire stomach and legs go numb, and it wore off within 4 or 5 hours. It actually lasted a long time, but it wore off as I was waking up from my nap. So when I pushed, I still felt everything. It had completely worn off. I had all control of my legs. I felt everything. Like I said, the contractions and pushing up in my ribs, it was bad. So the doctor gets there, and it takes me 5 minutes, and he's out. He was so in the birth canal that it was pretty bad. I almost didn't have to do any work. I threw up a third time while pushing. When he was born, he had jaundice. So they had him in the NICU for 3 days, which was all day Sunday because he was born at 4:18 a.m. He was 7 pounds, and he was 21 inches long. He was given to us for I think 2 hours at like 6, and then at 8 they came and took him from us, and they were like, well, he has jaundice, we have to put him under this bilirubin light, and you can come in every 3 hours and feed him, breastfeed him, but we want you to supplement with some formula. And they kept him there until Wednesday afternoon, and we didn't get released until like 5 in the afternoon, and we didn't get home until like 7:30. And we ate a little bit, relaxed, he slept, and I was like, I'm gonna shower. It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I want to shower. So I go and shower, and I was showering, and this huge blood clot had fallen from me. And I didn't push. I didn't even know what it was until it came out. Like, I felt it, but it wasn't anything, and it just plopped out, and I was terrified. I screamed for my mom, I screamed for my husband, and they come running in the bathroom, and at this point we're all like, yes, we have to go to the hospital, because I didn't know what it was. My mom watched the baby, and we rushed to the ER, and the doctor, since it was really late at night, and it took the doctor forever. I was there for like 4 or 5 hours, and half the time I was just in the waiting room. And the doctor was like, yeah, there was just extra blood in your cervix that wasn't cleaned out when your cervix closed. So now it's just kind of like a really, really heavy period. It's flushing everything back out of your system. So it was a little scary, but he was like, you'll probably have about 1 more clot, and then you'll be totally fine. I didn't ever have that clot, but it was really scary. It was a really hard and scary, painful experience that I wouldn't change for the world. I love my labor, but I hate it at the same time. It was scary most of the time, because I was sick on top of how long it was. It was 22 hours altogether. But I wouldn't change it for the world, and I would do it over and over and over again. So thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for listening.